Canadians continue to work around the economic uncertainty. Our next guest is the founder of a fintech company designed to make personal finance and money management easier for its users. We're going to get more on this and the latest trends in Canada's gig economy. We're joined by Dan Eberhard. He is the founder and CEO of KOHO. And of course, we have our guest host as well, Bruce Murray, joining us too. Dan, it's good to have you. I guess, first of all, tell us a little bit more about KOHO. Like, what does your company do?
So it's interesting that your host referenced Nubank, but we're sort of similar to Nubank in Canada. Obviously, it's a very different market in Canada, but what we do is we offer folks a daily spending and savings account. We pay one of the highest interest rates in the country. We've given folks ability to build their credit score in sort of non-traditional ways, some lending. We also have one of the lowest cost and fastest remittance providers in the country. So it's very much, people call us the bank for millennials. We have 70-year-olds on the platform and 18-year-olds on the platform, but it's very much sort of a modern digital apparatus to do your day-to-day banking.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, is what's your target audience? So it sounds like for the most part, at least to start, it's millennials.
That's right. The average user at KOHO is a little north of 30. And what we find is when folks turn to 50 and 60, their switching costs become so high and they're very locked in with mortgages and a number of other products. So these are the folks that are coming into adulthood. We're going to talk about some of the pressures they're facing today. And so where we find is these folks are thinking more financially conscientiously as consumers and thinking about how to build their credit scores, what it means to the compounding impact of bank fees and some of the other things that we avoid. So,
okay,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say I'm going to let Bruce jump in a moment to ask a question. But you mentioned pressures that people are facing today when it comes to saving and spending. What kind of pressures are we talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the jobs report, and so obviously our GDP is down, 1.6% year on year. I think this runs much deeper than just kind of the acute tariffs that we're seeing. But if you look at the jobs report, basically what you're seeing is that it's kind of folks who are on, 50 and 60 are actually not getting to retire. They're pushing out retire. So that's actually the only age group where employment has gone up. Every other group, employment has gone down. You're actually seeing certain pockets in Canada in the 18 to 24 sector where unemployment's as high as 22 to 24%. And so I think there's a number of factors. There's obviously AI in the technical economy. There's the tariffs, and obviously we're seeing like a lot of economic softness in Canada. We've been talking about this for a long time, but just the productivity, the GDP per capita has kind of been flat for a decade in this country. And I think that we are now, some of that stuff is coming home to roost, and that we just don't have we're not a robust economy in order to weather some of these kind of acute things that are happening in the economy right now.
I believe Bruce is still with us as well. We're having some slight technical difficulties this morning with Bruce. Bruce, there you are. Do you want to jump in and ask a question?
Sure. I think I'd like to ask a question about the technical capabilities as they build them off the internet. The banks have got hundreds of millions of dollars in their own computer systems and IBM and Oracle databases. That's going to take it's going to take years for them to get off that, and so a new entrant's going to have they're going to be more agile, I guess is the way to put it. And so if you'd elaborate on that versus banks, he started off a little bit of that, but I'd like to hear a little more on that.
Yeah, it's an important question. So KOHO has about 2 million accounts today in the country. KOHO is about 220 people. And so just when you think about that, we are functionally 2 orders of magnitude lower costs in our headcount required to offer the services that we do in the existing banks. And then a lot of those savings are getting passed on to the banks. So there's a natural story about cost structure. The other story that matters a lot is just velocity. So we're very much, as you alluded to, we're cloud native. Our use of AI is fairly prolific. And so what that allows us to do is kind of launch 3 to 5 products a year. Again, we're probably going 10x faster than the banks in terms of offering new products. Some of those things work and some of them don't. But in theory, what we can do is find the things that are most useful to our users and compound on those ideas. The other thing that matters with KOHO is, we are 4.5 years into a 5-year banking process with OSFI. We do think regulatory stack matters. We do think cost of capital matters. And so we are ending phase 2, hopefully by the end of the year. And then we'll be able to get our full bank license, because the big advantage that the banks have is, in addition to obviously the brand reputations that they have, is cost of capital. And at that point, we should be kind of we'll be able to play on the same field, which will lower our cost to borrow and a number of other things, which should translate into better product.
You've been conducting some surveys or seeing some surveys done, and a recent one was showing that savings are up by 23% year over year, but spendable cash remains just $9 to $16 per month. What does that tell you right now about what we're seeing and what you saw in that survey?
I mean, I don't think it's surprising. I think it's consistent with every macroeconomic indicator we have in the country. Unemployment is down, employment is down, unemployment is up. I think that what we're seeing is a lot of economic pressure. I think we're seeing a lot of economic uncertainty. I tend to think that we sometimes don't do a good job as a country of intuiting what it actually means that 1/3 of the country has food insecurity, or that 54% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck. We really do kind of have this tale of quite a bifurcated economy in Canada, and this is not an exclusive to Canada issue. But these trends have been emerging and growing for a long time, and once you strip away a lot of the immigration, what you have is like a GDP per capita that's flat over 10 years. And I think that some of these woes have been surfacing for a long time.
Bruce, do you want to jump in with one last question? If not, I have one, but you can go ahead if you do have another one.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean, I agree with them on the situation in Canada. And so, as it turns around, he's got a big opportunity to capture the 22-year-old who's unemployed at the moment and drive forward. So, yeah.
For sure.
I'll let him explain.
Okay.
Elaborate on that if he wishes.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways this environment is, as much as there's pain and sort of a human cost to this stuff, in some ways this environment is beneficial to the business of KOHO, because this is when folks tend to be more financially conscientious. This is when folks care more about every dollar. And we think, when they'll start to care about those savings accounts or their $50 NSF. So we don't do any of that stuff. We have, again, one of the highest savings rates in the country. Buy now, pay later. One of the interesting things that we've seen with our buy now, pay later product is almost 50% of the use case products are for people to buy groceries. And so I think the traditional way that folks would go and leave university with a reasonable amount of debt, there maybe the price to sales on a house might be 5 years of income or 6 years of income. Now, if you look in most urban centers, it's like 12 to 14 years of income. And so, I think the traditional path is kind of out of reach for a lot of folks. So we're seeing lots of wonderful creativity. We're seeing lots of folks start businesses. We're seeing gig economy pick up. But we're also seeing some of these more concerning trends around, as I mentioned, buy now, pay later to fund groceries, right? And so I do think the message is getting through in Ottawa, and hopefully we can cut through and get back to robust economic growth in the country.
So interesting. Dan, it's so good to have you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That is Dan Eberhard, founder and CEO of Canadian fintech company KOHO.